Welcome back to Finance Empire, real life stories. Imagine this for a second. You've worked all week. Your mind is full of deadlines, bills, and plans for dinner. You walk into a grocery store thinking it's just another normal Tuesday. You grab your favorite coffee, fresh bread, eggs, maybe even that expensive salmon you promised yourself after a stressful week. Everything feels under control. Then suddenly, one tiny sound changes everything. Beep. Declined. And in that exact moment, it feels like the entire world turns around to stare at you. Your chest tightens. Your hands freeze. You start wondering if the machine is broken, or if your entire life is. Today's story is not just about money. It's about embarrassment, pressure, pride, and the strange way strangers can either make your worst moment even worse, or completely save your faith in humanity. And while we go through this real life situation together, you're also going to improve your English naturally through emotional storytelling, realistic dialogue, and everyday vocabulary you can actually use in real conversations. So settle in. Maybe grab a coffee, hopefully one that doesn't get declined at the counter, and let's step into fresh and fast supermarket, where one ordinary checkout line is about to turn into the longest 5 minutes of Elias's life. The fluorescent lights inside, fresh and fast, buzzed softly above the endless rows of groceries, casting everything in a pale artificial glow that made the world feel slightly unreal. It was Tuesday evening, the tired hour. The hour when office workers stopped by for dinner ingredients, parents rushed through aisles with exhausted children, and everyone silently hoped the checkout lines would move quickly. Elias pushed his cart slowly through the produce section, one hand resting casually on the handle, while the other scrolled through unfinished work emails on his phone. His mind was split in half. One half was still trapped inside the office conference room from earlier that afternoon. The other half was already thinking about dinner. Maybe salmon tonight. Something healthy. Something that made him feel like he still had control over his life. He stopped beside the seafood refrigerator and stared through the glass. The salmon looked perfect. Bright pink, fresh, clean, expensive but worth it. At least one good thing this week, he whispered to himself with a tired smile as he placed it carefully into the cart. A young employee nearby stacked yogurt containers onto a shelf while soft pop music drifted through the store speakers overhead. Everything felt normal, safe, predictable. Elias continued through the aisles with the quiet confidence of someone following a familiar routine. Eggs, olive oil, coffee. Especially the coffee. That expensive imported brand he always bought whenever work became overwhelming. He tossed it into the cart like a reward. "You survived another week," he murmured. By the time he reached the checkout area, the store had grown louder. Shopping carts rattled across the floor. Scanners beeped rapidly. Children complained about candy bars near the register. Life was happening everywhere at once. Lane 4 looked the shortest. Bad decision. Elias rolled his cart forward and began unloading groceries onto the black and belt one item at a time. The cashier barely looked up. A skinny teenager with tired eyes and a crook name tag that read Leo. Evening. Leo muttered automatically. "Hey," Elias replied politely. Behind him, the line slowly began to grow. A woman in a dark business suit checked her phone aggressively while balancing car keys and a bottle of sparkling water. Behind her stood a father holding the hand of a restless toddler, whose face was sticky with something orange. The child stared directly at the candy shelf like it contained the meaning of life itself. Elias smiled faintly. Normal people. Normal evening. Nothing unusual. Leo scanned the salmon. Beep. Spinach. Beep. Coffee. Beep. The sounds blended together into the ordinary rhythm of modern life. "That'll be 70, 850, Leo said flatly. Elias nodded calmly and reached into his wallet. No panic, no stress. He knew he had money. Not rich, not struggling. Just stable. Or at least he thought so. He pulled out his card and tapped it confidently against the payment machine. For 1 second, everything paused. The terminal processed. A spinning circle appeared on the screen. Then, B. Transaction declined. The red letters glowed brightly against the screen like an accusation. Elias blinked once. Surely that was wrong. He stared at the machine with the confused expression of someone hearing bad news in the wrong language. Leo finally looked up. "Looks like it didn't go through." The words hit Elias harder than they should have. Behind him, the woman in the business suit stopped tapping her foot. The toddler stopped talking. Even the sounds of the store suddenly felt farther away. That's weird, Elias said quickly, forcing out a laugh that sounded fake even to himself. He wiped the card against his jeans. Classic human behavior. As if fabric could magically repair banking systems. Try again, Leo asked. Yeah, of course. This time Elias inserted the key carefully instead of tapping. His fingers suddenly felt clumsy. The machine processed again. Longer this time. Too long. His heart began to beat harder inside his chest. Come on. The spinning circle froze. Then again. Beep. Beep. Declined. The woman behind him exhaled loudly through her nose. Not a dramatic sound, but loud enough. Elias felt heat crawling up the back of his neck. I'm sorry, he muttered automatically. But the apology only made him feel weaker. He suddenly became painfully aware of every movement around him. The businesswoman checking her watch. The father shifting impatiently. The toddler whining. All because of him. He wasn't a customer anymore. He was a problem. A delay. An obstacle standing between tired people and their evening. Leo waited silently. Not rude. Not kind either. Just waiting. Maybe there's a glitch, Elias said quickly. He opened his wallet again and searched for another card. Please work. Please. He found his backup credit card, hidden behind old receipts, and slid it into the machine. His pulse hammered inside his fingertips while entering the PN number. Processing, processing, processing. The machine took so long this time that Elias almost believed it would work. Then, a beep. Declined again. The businesswoman laughed softly under her breath. Not because it was funny. Because she was annoyed. Seriously, she muttered. Elias pretended not to hear it. But every word landed sharply. Do you have another payment method? Leo asked. The question sounded professional, neutral. But to Elias it felt humiliating. His chest tightened. He grabbed his phone quickly and opened his banking app. The store Wi-Fi loaded painfully slowly. Come on. The line behind him kept growing. Someone pushed another cart into place. Then another. He could feel people staring now. Not aggressively, not cruelly, but curiously, which somehow felt worse. The businesswoman checked her watch again with exaggerated frustration. Some of us have places to be, she said loudly. Elias swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. I just need 1 second. His voice cracked slightly. The banking app finally loaded. And the moment the balance appeared on screen, Elias felt his stomach drop. $15. 15. His brain refused to process the number at first. That couldn't be right. Then he saw it. An annual software subscription renewal, automatically charged that afternoon. A charge he had completely forgotten about. His emergency buffer was gone. Completely wiped out. And suddenly the expensive salmon sitting on the counter no longer looked like dinner. It looked irresponsible. The imported coffee looked foolish. The olive oil looked arrogant. The machine hadn't just declined his card. It had exposed him. He stared at the groceries in silence while shame spread through his chest like cold water. Sir? Leo asked carefully. Should I cancel the order? Elias closed his eyes for 1 second. He had 2 choices. Run away. Or survive the embarrassment. No, he said quietly. His voice sounded tired now. Different. I just need to remove a few things. The businesswoman crossed her arms dramatically. But Elias barely noticed anymore. Because something strange happens when embarrassment reaches its highest level. You stop fearing humiliation. You simply become exhausted. He reached for the salmon first. The expensive perfect salmon. I'll put this back. Leo nodded and removed it. The total dropped. Still not enough. Then the imported coffee. Then the olive oil. Each item felt symbolic somehow. Like he was peeling away pieces of the life he thought he had under control. The spinach too. Elias added quietly. Now only the essentials remained. Bread, eggs. Basic survival. The total finally dropped low enough. $12.80. That should work, Elias whispered. His face burned with embarrassment as he tapped the card again. This time. Approved. A soft, beautiful sound. Relief flooded through his body, so suddenly he nearly laughed. But before he could grab the grocery bag and disappear forever, a voice behind him spoke. Wet. Elias froze. He turned slowly, expecting another complaint. Instead, the man in the gym shirt stepped forward holding a $10 bill. Put the coffee back, the man said calmly. Elias blinked. What? The coffee? The stranger repeated with a shrug. And the salmon too. Oh no, Elias said immediately. I can't take your money. The man smiled slightly. It's not charity. Elias stared at him silently. The stranger leaned casually against his cart. "I've had weeks like this too," he said. "Probably more than once." Something inside Elias cracked emotionally at those words. Not because of the money. Because of the understanding. The stranger wasn't looking at him with pity. He was looking at him like a human being. The businesswoman lowered her eyes awkwardly. Even Leo's expression softened slightly. "It's okay," the stranger continued. "Sometimes life just hits at the wrong moment." Elias felt emotion rise suddenly into his throat. Embarrassment mixed with relief in a confusing, painful wave. "I'll pay you back," he whispered. The stranger shook his head immediately. "No, just help someone else someday." For a moment nobody spoke. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Shopping carts rolled past nearby. Life continued moving around them. But inside lane 4, something had changed. The tension was gone. The judgment was gone. And in its place was something quieter. Human connection. Leo rescanned the salmon. Beep, then the coffee. Beep, but this time the sounds felt warm instead of threatening. Elias paid again successfully. Approved. And somehow that tiny word felt bigger now. Not because his card worked. Because he realized failure wasn't permanent. And kindness still existed in places people least expected. He grabbed the grocery bag slowly. "Thank you," he said again to the stranger. The man simply nodded. "No problem, brother." Such a simple word. But after the last 20 minutes, it nearly broke Elias emotionally. He walked out of the supermarket carrying his groceries, while cool evening air hit his face. The parking lot lights reflected across wet pavement from a recent drizzle. His legs still felt shaky. His mind replayed everything. The decline message. The staring. The pressure. The humiliation. But strangely, that wasn't the memory hurting most anymore. The strongest memory was the stranger. Because one act of kindness had rewritten the entire ending of the story. Elias sat inside his car quietly for a long moment. Then he looked down at the grocery bag beside him. The salmon was there again. The coffee too. And for the first time all evening, he smiled. Sometimes the worst moments of your week become the moments that remind you the world isn't completely cold. And maybe that's the real lesson. Not that cards decline. Not that life gets embarrassing. But that people survive these moments every single day, and somehow keep moving forward anyway. And trust me, what happened to Elias next week inside that same supermarket was something he never expected. Because sometimes the second visit is even harder than the first. And in the next part of this story, we're going right back to lane 4. I'll see you there.